Welcome back to If you've lived in the country for any period in your life, you may have seen one of these buildings. Located in rural Indiana sits a small church or maybe a schoolhouse beside a cemetery. This building, while in fantastic condition compared to others like it, has sadly lost its story. The church stands as a reminder as why we need to document these buildings, because one day their stories will be lost. Like many of the buildings I've explored so far, I was unable to enter this one without breaking and entering. With a quick glance, one can tell that the church is in great condition. Using the exterior as reference, we can get a rough idea on how well the building's doing. One aspect of the church that really surprised me was what I think is the bell tower. While some of the siding has begun to fall off, it is still in an amazing condition. To me, someone with no training in architecture, this building looks really good. There's only one thing that I'd like to point out. Although very minor, a part of the roof has begun to fall apart and rot. One part that kind of intrigued me was some of the stuff on the ground. There was these weird wooden carving things. I'm not really certain what they were. Furthermore, it looked like there was a sign of some sort. On the wall is a little purple blob. I don't really know what it is, but I'm guessing that's where the sign was before. So I don't know why it's on the ground now. The difficult thing about this building is I don't really have much to say about it. There's not a whole lot to see. It's sort of just this interesting thing, just this little part of history. And that leads me back to the history and the lack of it. I've talked to a former local, Vicky Correct, and even she didn't really know. She said she might have thought someone used to live in it, but clearly nobody lives in it now. Even though she says someone might have lived there, there is no evidence to back up these claims. The only information I was able to find on the building was from the Wabash County GIS. According to the GIS, the building is on .15 acres. It is owned by one Pedden Richard D. and James C.T. Unfortunately, I was unable to find any information on this person. The final tidbit of information I was able to find on the building is that it is currently worth around $7,400. I even spent time looking through an old textbook from the 70s, and still, nothing. Even after asking locals, scouring the internet, and reading that old textbook, I don't know what this building is, and my research is inconclusive. And this is why I wanted to create this series, for buildings like this. Eventually, the people who lived with them and walked in them, they are going to pass, and their stories will die with them. And that isn't even to mention that these buildings can be torn down or they can collapse. Not every building will have a story that I can tell. But just because they don't have a story does not mean they're not worth covering.